What are SIP investments, how do they work, and what can you use instead of them? This video is going to answer all of those questions and a whole lot more. Make sure to watch this video all the way through to the end so you can learn about what SIP investments are, why it is and isn't a smart investing strategy, and alternatives that you can use that can make you millions of dollars. Hi, I'm Evan, and let's define SIP investments. These are investments that you make through a systematic investment plan, otherwise called the SIP. Let's break down each of its parts. The first is also the most important, systematic. This means that you are consistently making investments on a set schedule. These investments will be made for you automatically by the SIP. Next, we have the investment. This can be practically anything that's available on public markets. You can use your SIP to fund and make investments in all sorts of your different accounts, including your 401k or regular brokerage account. Finally, we have the plan. The plan is pretty straightforward. You invest the same amount of money into a chosen investment over time through a set schedule. For example, you could invest $1 a day, $25 a week, or $150 a month. Whatever you want, really. It all depends on what makes sense for you. If you're thinking that this concept sounds familiar, you're exactly right. Systematic investment plans take advantage of dollar cost averaging. This is an investment strategy where you consistently buy into an asset no matter what its price is. This way, your average purchase price for the asset should be lower than if you bought it all in one bulk buy. This is because you'll be buying in when the price of the asset is high, but also when the price is low. So then what's the difference between dollar cost averaging and systematic investment plans? Dollar cost averaging is the strategy that SIPs use, and the systematic investment plan itself is a service offered by brokerages and other investment firms that execute this strategy for you. Let's look at how these systematic investment plans work, why they may or may not be a good idea for you, and what you can use instead of them. SIPs are most commonly seen with mutual funds. Typically, mutual funds will have a minimum investment amount in terms of dollars and/or shares that you will have to make to buy into the fund. Rather than forcing investors into these lump sum payments, some mutual funds offer systematic investment plans as an alternative. They let investors consistently make smaller payments into the mutual fund over a longer period of time. That consistent schedule is normally every week, month, or quarter. This gives more people the ability to invest in the mutual fund, and that's because they don't need as much money to get started. It also provides these investors with the benefits of dollar cost averaging, which again is a lower average cost per share than if you made the lump sum investment. One of the best things about systematic investment plans is that they're passive. You've likely heard that one of the best ways to go about investing is to just set it and forget it and then to hold long term. That's exactly what SIPs do because they invest for you periodically. This allows you to sit back and watch your money grow over time rather than putting in all the hard work, research, and stress that it takes to actively trade stocks. Plus, passively based investing has historically proven to yield higher returns than active investment. Making more money for doing less work sounds like a no-brainer to me. However, systematic investment plans do have some negatives. As a part of this set it and forget it strategy, you may need to make a very long-term commitment to the SIP. Some of these plans may require you to stay invested in them for up to 10 to 25 years. That's quite a lot of time. Now, this might actually not seem like a terrible thing if you're investing in something simple like an S&P 500 index fund. That's the sort of investment that you'd like to hold on to long-term no matter what happens. However, you may have instead chosen some sort of an actively managed mutual fund which is just performing worse and worse as the years go on. With some systematic investment plans, you might be locked into that poor-performing mutual fund for a good long while. To quit the plan before its scheduled end, you'd have to pay some fees which can be pretty hefty. Speaking of, missing just a single payment can also get your plan canceled. And for some systematic investment plans, you may have to pay fees to even just get started. This pretty much defeats the purpose of even using one. Now, this obviously sounds like there are a lot of negatives with SIPs. However, let's go back and look at some more of the positives. One good thing about the long-term commitment is that it forces you to be disciplined, and it removes some of the emotion out of investing. Like I mentioned earlier, one of the core pieces of investing advice is to hold long-term no matter what's happening in the market. And that's because historically the market always recovers given enough time. Systematic investment plans can lock you into this long-term strategy because getting out of the plan or selling early can incur some pretty fat fees. If you see the assets in your SIP going down, it's much harder to panic sell and dump the funds in the plan as it would within an IRA or in your Robinhood account. This is because of all the fees involved in canceling your plan or selling early. But because it's harder to take profits from the systematic investment plans, this makes it much more likely that you'll miss out on good buying opportunities. Let's say you'd like to invest in a company that you think is undervalued. You're expecting that its share price is going to continue to increase over time. If you don't have the cash on hand to make the investment, you can sell off another investment that you have to make the cash necessary in order to invest in that undervalued company. SIPs don't let you do this because you're stuck with the one investment, and there's fees for selling early too. You'd have to set up another plan to invest in that company. Generally though, you'll risk less money through a systematic investment plan than you would with lump sum investing. This goes back to the concept of dollar cost averaging. If you invest all your money at once, your cost basis will be locked into to whatever it was when you made the purchase. Dollar cost averaging should let you lower this basis since you'll be buying less shares when they're expensive and more shares when they're cheaper. However, dollar cost averaging is not exclusive to systematic investment plans. As we talked about earlier, SIPs just do the dollar cost averaging for you. This is a strategy that anyone can use, and you can even set up other automatic investing options which execute this strategy for you. Now let's focus on some alternatives to systematic investing plans which are even better than the SIPs. You'll have many of the same benefits and will eliminate some of the negative aspects of using the SIPs. In fact, these options are completely free, can be canceled at any time, and have no fees or penalties associated with them other than the cost of the investments themselves. Most brokerages allow you to set up automatic or recurring investments. This covers the systematic part of SIPs. Let's look at two examples. I'm going to start with Fidelity since this is the brokerage account that I use for my Roth IRA. This is the account that I maxed out first because of the tax advantages. Fidelity gives you multiple options for automatic savings and investing. The savings part is how you can get cash into your account. You have the option to set up a recurring transfer from your bank account, or you can even set it up with direct deposit. Automatic transfers can only be from monthly deposits. If you use the direct deposit option, your money will go straight from your paycheck right into your brokerage account. This will reduce your temptation to spend the money because it's going to skip going into your checking account and instead go straight into your brokerage account. The only issue is the money isn't automatically invested, at least not yet, but you can use the automatic savings to systematically provide the money that will be used by your automated investing. You start by choosing if your cash is coming from one of your investment accounts or from a bank account. This would be the cash that is automatically moved over by the automated savings, or you can just skip that step and invest the money straight out of your bank account if you won't be tempted to spend it. For the investment part of SIP, you can then choose what investment your money will be invested into and how much. However, this means that you already need to own at least some of the fund that you're investing into. Although this isn't really a problem because of fractional shares. These allow you to invest into most funds for as little as $1. Then you set up your investment schedule, which is the plan of SIP. You can then choose what day of the month you'd like to make your investment. I imagine most people would choose the 1st or the 15th depending on when they get paid. Then you set the frequency of the investment. Unfortunately, the options aren't very robust. You can do monthly, quarterly, or a specific combination of months. This means that you can easily set up an automatic weekly investment. However, you do get to cancel your automatic investment at any time for free, unlike the SIPs. You can also schedule a date to stop the automated investing. In some of my previous videos, I've discussed how I make my weekly investments. If you want to do the same, you can pick from one of two options. First, you can set up 4 monthly recurring investments so that you're automatically investing in each week of the month. Or alternatively, you can do what I do and manually transfer the money in and then invest it afterward each week. While this does take some extra time, it gives me the freedom to choose another fund if I want to that week, rather than picking the exact same S&P 500 index fund week after week. Another thing to note with Fidelity's automatic investing is that your automated plan will be canceled if you have insufficient funds for scheduled transfers twice. After maxing out my Roth IRA on Fidelity, I move on to making investments through Robinhood. Let's look at how recurring investments work on the app. You get more options for frequency. You can invest every day the markets are open, weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly. After choosing your frequency, you then pick where your cash is coming from and how much you'd like to invest in the period that you've chosen. The interface is very intuitive and the frequency options are great. The only issue I have is that Robinhood doesn't clarify how you stop or cancel an automatic investment, since you can't do that through the order screen. After setting up the automated investment, you can edit, pause, or cancel it through your profile. Another important question to ask is how much should my automated investment be? There's a few ways of answering that. The first would be to base it on your budget. Essentially, you can figure out how much you're able to save and invest every month by subtracting your necessary expenses and your budgeted fund money from your income. You could set your automated investment close to that number. Another option could be to use some simple math. If the only money that you invested every year was the $6,000 max for your IRA, that would put you well ahead of the majority of Americans. You would essentially just invest a fraction of that $6,000 every period, whether that be $500 for 12 months or $115.38 for 52 weeks. Another option, and my personal favorite, would be to use some math to figure out how you can achieve a goal. You can determine how much money you need to invest every week, month, or year to have a certain amount of money by a certain amount of time. The trick is to use the future value function in Excel, plug in some numbers, and then use the goal seek function to figure out what your investment should be. I have another video that covers this process in depth. In any case, setting up automatic investments is one of the smartest things that you can do in your life. Your investments will grow exponentially due to the time value of money, and this will make you potentially millions of dollars. With that, make sure to grow that like button exponentially by clicking it. Doing so will increase its value in the YouTube algorithm. This is completely free, it really helps me out a ton, and it helps others discover this great content which can change their lives. Subscribe and ring the bell if you would like to be notified when new videos come out every Friday. Let me know how I can improve improve these videos and comment down below. Click that video on screen to watch another that you're going to enjoy, and then please add some music, some automated investing, or whatever else it is that you love to your day.